There's a version of you that exists only when you're alone. A version that has opinions, preferences, a quiet inner voice that actually knows what it wants. But the moment someone gets close enough, really close, that version starts to fade. You don't notice it happening. You never do. You just look up one day and realize you've been speaking in someone else's sentences, wanting what they want, fearing what they fear. And the strangest part? You did it out of love. You've probably heard the word codependency before, but this isn't quite that. Codependency is about needing someone to function. What we're talking about goes deeper. It's about losing the architecture of who you are, the values, the preferences, a quiet inner voice that actually knows what it wants, simply because another person became real to you. Psychologists call this self-concept enmeshment. It's what happens when the boundary between who I am and who we are quietly dissolves. And here's what it looks like from the inside. You start mirroring their music taste, their opinions on things you never cared about before. Their friends become your priority. Their mood becomes your weather. If they're anxious, you feel it in your chest. If they're distant, you question your entire worth. You reshape your edges to fit perfectly against them. And it feels like intimacy. It feels like love. Because in the beginning, merger feels like closeness. But over time, you start to grieve something you can't name. A quiet disappearing. Like you've been slowly translated into a language that isn't yours. Before anything else, understand this. This is not weakness. It is not neediness. It is not a personality disorder. It is a deeply human response to the oldest survival equation your brain knows. Belonging equals safety. For most of human history, losing your tribe meant death. So your nervous system learned to prioritize relational continuity over personal distinctness. It learned that being needed and being similar kept you close to the people who kept you alive. You didn't lose yourself because you're broken. You lost yourself because some part of your brain believed that being yourself was a risk the relationship couldn't afford. Here's what's actually happening in your psychology. Every person carries what researchers call a self-concept, a relatively stable internal picture of who you are, your values, your preferences, your sense of how you move through the world. Under normal conditions, this self-concept stays stable across different relationships and contexts. But for people prone to enmeshment, something different happens. The self-concept is porous. Psychologist Aron developed what he called the self-expansion model. The idea that in close relationships, we naturally begin to include the other person within our sense of self. Their resources feel like ours. Their identity begins to overlap with ours. This is normal. This is part of what makes love feel electric. But in enmeshment, the expansion doesn't stop. Their self doesn't just overlap with yours, it begins to replace sections of it. And the reason it accelerates is attachment anxiety. If you grew up in an environment where love felt conditional, where affection came and went without explanation, your nervous system developed a hypervigilance around relational closeness. It learned to constantly monitor, are we okay? Are they still here? Am I too much? Am I enough? And one of the most efficient ways to quiet that alarm system is to become whoever the relationship seems to need. Neuroscientist and attachment researcher Sue Johnson describes this as the nervous system essentially